Hey, it's Leon from the Cackling Jackal, and today I'm going to show you how I make antique looking paper. Now, the way I started my campaign was that I gave everybody an acceptance letter into one of the major adventure guilds in the major city that they're in. Letters look like this. Now, having a letter that looks and kind of feels a little bit older with a actual wax seal, if you can probably see that, I feel at least is a really cool way to start a campaign. Now I'm going to go through step by step and show you how I made everything for this. So this is quite a simple project really. All you need is some plain white paper. I use coffee, you can use tea or other bits and pieces, a heat gun, a paintbrush, some water and some dirt. Now this here is basically the contents of a coffee pod. We drink pods at home. If you have normal coffee or anything else, that'll work fine, but I find the contents of one of these is probably a perfect amount. There's a little plastic bit on top and a foil seal, so once you get rid of those, just pour the whole thing in. What I do a little bit different is though, I get a small handful of dirt and I mix it in with the coffee water too. Now, what that's going to do is going to add a little bit of texture to your mixture. The benefit of that is when it dries out, it's going to add slightly different colours, add a little bit of different textures and stuff like that. But when you get this, you just want to, whoops, it's kind of hard to hold and film at the same time. Just apply this all over. There you go. Once a little bit of water gets in there, it's going to stick to this aluminium stainless steel bench top. Okay. Now you want little chunks and bits and pieces in random locations. You don't want too much, but having them through it is going to really add to the way it dries and to the texture and feel of it. And to me, that's kind of part of the things that really make it feel more authentic than if it was just straight coffee or tea water. Okay, so once that's there, now comes the fun and sometimes boring part. We now have our old school looking parchment. So, as you notice, this paper's now got quite a bit of texture and crinkle to it. If you like it like that, that's fine. You can leave it this way. However, I want to run this through a printer, so I'm going to have to flatten it a lot. The best way to do this is to iron the creases out. I just put down a drop clothy old towel and pretty much we'll be just ironing on top of that. Now, this shouldn't damage your iron in any way. It's just paper. But if you are worried, maybe just pick yourself up a cheap iron. I think you can get them for like 20 bucks from Kmart or something like that. Plus, it's pretty handy to have a garage workshop iron. So basically, you want to get this as flat as you can. You can always crinkle it up again later if you need to. But for right now, to feed it through a printer, it's got to be quite flat. So just keep the iron moving. Now, to be honest, you can't really burn it. You've already burnt it with the hairdryer. Oh. Yeah, I reckon it should be flat enough to get through the printer. So now that we have our paper, our next step is to type up a letter. Now you could handwrite this, but my handwriting is average, to say the best. I've come up with a bit of a letter. It says, "Dear Adventurer, thank you for applying to join the Cackling Jackal Adventurers Guild. We're happy to inform you that your application has been approved. You've been allotted to the Lutheran Guild House located near the main dock in the port city of Lutheran. Please present yourself with this letter to the Guild House on the 19th day of the first month for processing. Applicants may stay in the Guild House for free prior to their initiation. Food and drink can be purchased from the kitchen at a reasonable price. We look forward to seeing you soon, Zelma Arkanshaw." As a little sign off there, curiosity inspires the greatest adventures. So this is my letter. Like I said, this is my kind of invitation to the players to actually join in to my campaign. So I'm going to make a whole heap of these bits of paper. I'll print it off and we'll go to the next stage. Okay, now when printing with paper like this, You may want to just guide it a little bit and make sure it's going to feed through. There you go, it's feeding straight. It's perfect. Cool, cool. And she's done. Dear Adventurer. Now, I could not write it that well. However, using a handwriting font, it looks like it could be handwritten. There is a guild insignia at the bottom. Now, you do get a little bit of the kind of smudge marks come through onto the actual paper, but if I'm honest, I actually really like it. I feel like that may happen in a real handwritten letter, and even though that would be an actual stamp in the actual, like, that's what they would have used back then, stamps didn't always come out perfect. So for me, that adds authenticity to the letter itself. Alright. So what I'll do next is we'll fold it up and we'll stamp it, and that'll be it. That'll be ready to give to a player. So now that the letter's all folded up, I've got my wax sizzling kit. Now I bought this from eBay, I believe. Cost about $10, yeah, $10 or so. And that came with 3 waxes, the red one, the gold and the silver. Now I have used most of the red. I think I've got a little bit somewhere else. The spoon for melting it, 2 tea lights, and the wax seal itself. Now you could choose a whole heap of different designs. Most of them were letters, but there were some symbols, and I chose the letter J to represent the Cackling Jackal. I imagine it's probably going to be used quite a few times for letters between guild houses and bits and pieces, but I do have plans in the future to purchase other letters so that I can do letters from other different people to signify different things. Anyway, so I think this is fully melted. So I cut off a section of the wax, I put it in the spoon, held it over the tea light for about a minute or so until it's now nice and runny. So you want to try and get this centered if you can. Now I think that should be pretty good. Alright, let's go. Yeah, it's a nice good amount of wax. Up to the side, we'll switch hands. Now you want to kind of line this up so that the letter is on top. So let's go that way. So move that out of the way. Now I didn't quite get this centered, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter. It kind of adds to the authenticity of it. I'm sure not every single wax seal was perfect. And you want to leave it for about 5-10 seconds while the wax sets just a little bit, so that way you don't pull any of it off when you take the steel away. So that seems... I'm happy with that. There you go. Authentic looking letter. So there you have it, guys. That's one of the ways that I make like aged paper. There are different techniques you can use. You can use tea instead of coffee. You can try scrunching the paper first instead of just doing it straight. Pretty much anything you can think of to add texture and some kind of authenticity to the look of it. If you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe. If you've got any comments, chuck them down below. Yeah, hopefully you like what you see. Anyway, peace out.